Welcome to the Renovating Riches podcast. Entrepreneurs from Houston teaching you everything they know about entrepreneurship and real estate with the best guests in the real estate industry. Subscribe today on all major platforms and gear up for another episode of Renovating Riches.
Welcome to the Renovating Riches Radio podcast. Today we have a special guest, Mr. James Toler from Houston, Texas. Actually, is it Houston or Clear Lake or Friendswood?
Yeah, that down south.
From down south. James and I actually met probably about a year and a half ago, maybe a couple of years ago at a networking event for the first time. We just clicked and started talking. And today we have him in our podcast, and I'm honored that you're here. Thank you so much for taking the invitation and coming over, making time for an interview. And by the way, don't forget to hit share, like, and subscribe. Invite everybody to watch this podcast. We don't have any sponsors other than me and Dennis and the friends that come over to add value to you guys. So this is how we grow our channel by word of mouth, pretty much, and organic views. So with that being said, who is James Toler? Can you tell me a little bit about yourself?
Sure. I ran a family business for quite a while.
Okay.
About 10 years, I ran a highway maintenance company my dad had.
Oh, wow.
And that's kind of what, I ran that for him, ran all over state of Texas.
Now, but before that, did you become an engineer or did you go to school?
I didn't go to school.
You didn't go to school?
No, I went straight out of high school into running my dad's businesses.
Okay, and you were working for your dad, like as soon as the day you graduated, it's like, this is it?
Right away.
Okay.
Well, I was at business, and he had a lot of businesses, so I wanted to take them over.
Right.
So I went in to learn from the ground up, just made me earn everything. And my goal was to take over the business.
What was the first job that you had when you started working for your dad?
Picking up litter off the highway.
Okay.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah, making sure it was clean.
Yeah. So one of our business, we did highway maintenance. We did the mowing and litter, debris, sweeping, all that.
Wow.
Yeah, so he put me on the ground mowing. Sometimes I'd be in a tractor mowing. I mean, I literally started at the bottom.
How old were you back then? What, 19, 18?
18, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, started that, did that for a while. Was in Austin for 8 years doing all.
Is that where you're originally from, or?
I'm from Baytown.
From Baytown, okay.
Yeah, east side.
All right.
Yeah, and I did that for a while, and kind of got to a point where I was growing. I'm reading books, I'm growing my mind, and I'm not retiring anytime soon.
Right.
That kind of thing, and I've already mastered running crews and doing all this stuff.
Right.
And my dad's owned a lot of real estate over time, and I kind of gravitated that way.
Okay.
And then ended up breaking off and then going my own way.
What did he say when you said that? I don't want to be here no more. Did he enjoy that or not?
No, I mean, I was blessed in that he wants the best for me.
Right.
So what's best for him or best for me, he's going to go for best for me.
Right.
And I think that's the best attitude to take.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, he could have kept me, and I'd have been unhappy.
Right.
Yeah.
I had something similar with my dad, by the way. So when I was 8 years old, I started working for my dad when I was not in school.
Me too. I mean, exactly.
So we pretty much started working very young.
Very young. Yeah.
My deal was I really wanted to be like my dad when I grew up. My dad was in the insurance business. Mm-hmm. So for me, it was like, I want to put on a suit. I want to go talk to people, sell insurance policies, and I'm going to be like my dad. Mm-hmm. And I thought the world of my dad, and I still do. Yeah. But what happened was when I was like 19 to 20, Dad and I weren't getting along anymore. And I had a boss, not necessarily a father, is what I thought. That's how I felt.
Okay.
Because even though when we were not at the office, when we were maybe having a barbecue at his house or whatnot, it was business. And I was like, man, how much more do I need of this? Like, it got to a point where I didn't even want to go visit anymore because I was like, oh, he's gonna ask me about this, and that instead of focusing on, because my dad he's a hard worker, man. He's always working. He never stops. So I knew that if I went to his house, I was gonna be talking business. So when I was like 20, I kind of like broke off, and he didn't want me to, but he pretty much pushed me that way. And then I kind of dabbled by my, I joined the Navy, and so I served, and then I became part of the oil and gas business. But I transitioned a lot, but I can see you working with your dad, a lot of the stuff that I went through. That's why I asked those questions.
Absolutely. Very similar.
So how old were you when you left
I was
the family
a little later.
business?
I was 27, 28,
Okay.
something like that.
All right. And
I also lived in Austin. They lived here.
Oh.
So I wasn't, it was a little different that way.
And so what do you do right after that? What was your transition like?
I flipped. I had some cash saved up. I didn't know about hard money or private money or anything, really. I just kind of saw another direction and started moving that way.
What year is this?
This was 2016, not that long ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I hadn't really figured out what I was doing until probably about 2 years ago. I mean, maybe a year and a half to 2 years.
And you know what you're going to say 2 years from now?
What?
That you didn't figure it out until right about this time. So it's always, it's a changing animal.
Well, it should be, right?
Yeah.
Something good's happening.
Yeah.
If you look back, that's right.
So you left in what, 2015 or 16?
Yeah, right around there.
Okay,
Yeah.
and you had a little bit of money saved up, and you went and bought a house, I guess. In Austin or?
Here.
Here in Houston?
Yeah.
So you went and moved back to Houston?
Yes.
Or you were living in Austin and kind of like flipping at a distance?
No, I moved back.
All right.
I moved back here. The first deal I did with my sister.
Okay.
And I didn't know what I was doing. I just didn't know at all. So I said, well, I'm going to split my assets, but I'm going to split my liabilities.
Okay.
That was my thought there. So me and my sister did a few deals, and I got a little more comfortable each time. I would find them, and I'd run the crews and all that kind of stuff. That's my background, really, is running crews.
Yeah,
that's my specialty.
That's what you did in your family business, right? Towards the end.
No, the whole time. He started me off at the bottom, but I mean, he raised me up.
You started great, you know.
And I was managing large crews. That's really all I've done.
How many people were you managing?
50-man crews.
Okay.
Yeah, very large man crews. We were doing, state highways, toll roads, very large stretches.
Was he a civil engineer?
Who?
Your dad?
No. He's just a businessman.
Wow.
He didn't even have a high school degree.
Wow.
So he just stumbled into it.
Self-made, right?
Yeah, self-made, yeah.
Yeah, okay, so you go do your first deal. What did that look like?
What it looked like?
Like purchase-wise, rehab, mistakes you made?
Yeah, we made like $4,000. I mean, it wasn't.
Oh, yeah.
We split that.
At least you made money.
We made a little money. I bought it from Net Worth.
Okay.
One of those kind of guys.
Right.
Bought it, rehabbed it, and it was in Nassau Bay. I don't know if you know where that's at. Yeah, in there. And it sold within 3 weeks or so, something like that.
It was quick.
Yeah, not too bad.
Sold to a cash buyer or to a?
It was actually to a California person. Yeah, it was cash.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I got lucky that way.
Wow. And then what happened after that?
Well, learning, right? I mean, one, I bought it too high. When you look back,
right.
You make $4,000. You didn't, and that was on a $240,000 house.
Okay.
Made $4,000. Yeah.
Right.
Should have made more.
Right.
That was my lesson.
And so how much did you buy it for when you first got it?
Yeah, I bought it for like $160,000, $170,000.
And you put another 60 or
something like that.
So
then you had your realtor cost. I wasn't a realtor at the time. I had paid the full commission and a title policy and insurance. So it all adds up.
Closing costs and boom.
Yeah. And you don't think about all that when you hadn't done one.
Right.
There's good 8 to 10% there.
I usually factor 8% on closing costs as a standard.
Yep.
Like
there you go.
6% goes to realtors and the other 2% goes to the title company.
Yeah.
Whatever that is, you know.
Title policy, escrow fees. Yeah.
Right. And then that's when I don't pay for the taxes. Sometimes we pay for taxes that are owed for what? Because they don't have equity or, you know.
Exactly.
But So okay, so you did that first deal with your sister. You made $4,000, split $2,000 each. Yep. And what was after that? Like,
I figured out I had to get off market properties. That was the best way, and I had to find them because net worth brought it to me. And I find out they made a good little chunk of money on it.
Yeah.
I didn't know wholesale. I never heard of that term. I didn't. I thought it was pretty genius what they did. Just find a house and sell it to someone else and take no risk and
make all the money.
Make all the money up front and have no risk. I was like, that's from a risk perspective, that's pretty brilliant.
Okay.
So I started figuring out how to find them.
Yeah.
I think the next one was off My House Deals.
Okay. Yeah, that's a pretty good website.
Yeah, you got to go through a lot of, nonsense.
Yeah, right.
To find.
I guess the nonsense really comes from the rehab estimates that some people put there. They said only $25,000 in rehab, and the thing is falling apart. You're like, that's a full rehab. A full rehab is even at $30 a square foot. You're looking at 60 to 80 grand.
Oh, sure.
So
what's the incentive structures designed as a wholesaler just to sell it? Doesn't matter. You're not looking at a reputation standpoint.
Right. They're just trying to make a quick buck.
You're big on reputation, right?
Yes.
You say, I want to do business with you over and over again.
Yeah.
But someone who's going to do that doesn't care about their reputation.
Right.
That's what it comes down to.
Yeah.
And and how long do they stay in this?
No, they don't stay long enough.
No.
They come in, they get a couple of checks, then they have to pretty much face out. So, and most of those guys, they stumble into those deals. They're not investing in marketing. They're not investing in systems. Sure. They're not investing in training. So we do a lot of that. And man, the last thing we want to do is burn a buyer. Yeah. Now, have we sold houses to buyers that then they go try to HGTV it and end up spending a lot more money?
Of course.
Yeah, of course. But they recognize it's not our fault. Yeah. It's their fault that they wouldn't try to do too much. Yeah. So you went and got houses off My House Deals and
I get everywhere. Marketing's all about throwing your net out there, especially when you don't know what you're doing.
Right.
So I just everywhere you can imagine, I'm looking.
Taking massive action, pretty much.
Yeah, exactly.
Who can get me a good deal that's got a good spread that I can go and make a profit of? And so when do you figure you sort of landed with the perfect formula for you?
At what point?
Yeah, at what point?
I had to do probably 8 or 9 of them.
8 or 9 rehabs.
That's continuously listening to podcasts. Like you had mentioned, we hadn't met, but we actually had. You just didn't know me.
Yeah, you recognize me. You're the ones like, hey, you're Ricardo. And I was like, yeah, what's up? Who are you? But we actually were friends on Facebook as well.
Sure. I went around and tried to add all the people I look up to.
Yeah.
On Facebook.
Yeah, but man, thank you so much for the compliments.
Yeah. All the people that I thought were doing deals and had, whys and I looked up to. Then as I added more and more, it's easier to accept me if I have 300 friends in common with you.
Absolutely.
I think we probably have 1,000. Some crazy amount.
Yeah, we probably got half of Houston now because we're both out there networking and building our own networks. And
me and Brant Phillips have 1,500 people in common. It's crazy.
I have Brant coming in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah.
So
he's awesome.
Yeah, he's a great guy. Yeah. He's been doing this for quite a while. Mm-hmm. So stay on the lookout. He's going to be out here talking about his real estate journey as well. A lot longer than me and James have. But because we sort of started, so I started investing in 2008. But that's when I started making all those mistakes. But I was on a down market, so I was buying houses in Pasadena for 15 grand and putting another 40 in it, which in today's money is 80. And then we kept them for rentals, and we started adding more and more and more. Mm-hmm. So, but I had a corporate job, so I was investing while I had a good job that I actually enjoyed. So I'm not a corporate hater by any means. If you have a good job, hey, all power to you.
Yeah.
Actually, a corporate job allows you to get good loans, refi, cash outs, the whole 9 yards. Something that when you become self-employed, it's a little harder to do. And then you got to go for more expensive loans. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't until 2015 when I actually got laid off from my job that I didn't shift into a full-time real estate investor. Mm. My challenge was that at the time, I had to go big, otherwise I wasn't gonna go anywhere, because I had all the bills and all the I had money in the bank, but I did the math, and that money wasn't gonna last for too long before I had to go figure something else out. So what I knew is I knew how to flip, but I didn't really know wholesaling. I didn't even understand it. Actually, I looked at wholesalers like, "Ooh, you're a wholesaler? I want nothing to do with you," because of the same thing, right? You go
stigma.
Yeah, you get deals. You're like, that doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. It's a paradigm shift. So, I went into flipping, and I figured out that I could get a bunch of hard money loans because I had good credit, good money, that kind of stuff. And that's how I started scaling the flipping business. But if I had to do it all over again, I wouldn't scale the flipping business that big. I would have scaled the wholesaling business because of the speed of money. Something I didn't understand that a friend of mine, Alex de la Torre, shout out to Alex, I don't know if you know him. Mm-hmm. He told me one day, he said, "Ricardo, the speed of money." And I was like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "When you flip a house, it takes you 3 to 6 months to go through the cycle. If it goes well, if it doesn't go well, then it's longer than that.
Sure.
But when you wholesale, it takes you 3 weeks to maybe 9 weeks, 12 weeks. So the speed of money is quicker. Yeah, the profit is not the same, because when you flip, you're going for, that 30% equity, or if you're doing it 70% minus repairs, which most of us are. On the wholesaling side, you're only going for that 10% or whatever, but it's constant. It's coming all the time. Mm-hmm. And if you can wholesale at a scale, then you'll never flip a house. And at that point, I didn't understand.
If you what again?
If you were to wholesale at a scale, you'll never flip a house.
At scale, yeah, I see.
At scale.
Yep.
Not just one deal here and there, because you're chasing that one deal.
That's tough.
It is very tough. Yeah. But once you can get your hands on 5, 10, 20 deals, then if your average assignment is $10,000 like in the rest of the country is, you're looking at $200,000 every month, as long as you're maybe $100,000 every month, as long as that's consistent. But it's not as easy as I'm making it seem. So there's a lot of running around and that kind of stuff. So anyways, you went and did 8 or 9 flips before you figured out a formula that worked for you. Maybe you started putting teams together.
Yep.
Now, how many were you doing at the same time? Only one? You did one and then bought it, fixed it. So when did you actually start, like, saying, I'm going to do 2 now?
Yeah. So I was doing a deal, and I had a church. It was a church, and it was a waterfront property that came. They were selling the church, and they didn't know what to do with that property, that waterfront property.
Right.
And they didn't want to make any money. They just were, here you go. It's a church. We can't make any money anyway, so we're dissolving the church. I bought it for the payoff, which was $180,000. It was worth $290,000.
Oh wow!
I didn't need anything though. It was lived in. It was a beautiful home.
Wow!
And I had that deal come up. There was probably 4 or 5 investors
after
that we were there together, and I said, man, I can't. All my money's most of my money's tied up.
Right.
I'd never used leverage. Didn't know where to go, who to go to, or anything like that. But I said, this is too much money. This is the home run that this will get me going. Yeah, I got to figure this out. And so then I went around. That's when I discovered hard money.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd never even heard of it. I went to Wells Fargo. I went in there, Wells Fargo.
Can I get a loan for this flip? And they're like, what?
I said, well, but there's $100,000 here. What are you talking about?
Yeah, it's too risky, right?
Too risky. Well, I said, well, there's really no repairs. I already had a mortgage, so, it was one of those kind of things. And, it was just too much money, so I just figured it out. And I ended up making a killing on that one.
That's good.
And I made a lot of money on it, and that really got me going.
That injected the fuel you needed to say,
I would say more I had money. I had a little money.
No, but it was proof of concept.
That's what it was.
It was proof of concept. So now you said, man, if I can do this over and over and over again, I know where I can get. So so that's how you went and started getting 2 or 3, I guess.
Yeah, I made probably about $70,000 on that one, something like that.
Wow.
And that was my third or fourth deal.
Wow.
Yeah. Kept learning, kept listening to podcasts, kept just everything.
Which podcast do you listen to other than Renovating Riches, right?
Yeah, I liked, there's a lot of them. I liked the TTP. You ever heard of them? Talk
to people, yeah.
I like those. Yeah. That's more sales and marketing.
Yeah.
Marketing is such a huge component to all this. It's so huge.
So what I say is when people ask me, what do you do? I say, I'm in the marketing business. It just happens to be attached to real estate because that's what I'm doing right now.
Absolutely.
Right?
I've heard Jason Bible tell me this a couple times. He said, there's very few people who are good at both marketing and sales. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I mean...
It's different skill sets, right?
Yeah.
Most people who are good at marketing are good at sitting on a computer, data diving.
Right.
And sales is more out there, talking to people.
The deal.
Yeah, it's more A-driven. It's, I think I'm a combination of both, a unique combination. I think I feel like I've done real well on it.
There's people that are real good at marketing, like they put themselves out there and they attract a lot of attention, right? So the sales process after they attracted attention is easier because they have some buy-in already from the audience, right?
Yep.
But then there's the people that can sell. Like there's salespeople that you will not be able to escape away from because they just know how to close you.
Yeah.
If you can marry the two, then you're really powerful.
Someone like Brent Franklin or someone like that. There's people like that who can get attention. Yeah.
It can drive attention away too.
Oh, sure.
Depending on how you put it out, right?
Yeah, I hear you.
So, it's...
Well, Grant Cardone's the same. He's out there. Some people are going to be turned off. Some people will be...
So Grant Cardone, I listened to him because I was like, man, this guy's putting so much money in marketing.
Yeah.
There's something about him, but he was arrogant, in my opinion, when I first started following him. But I guess that was his way of attracting attention, right? Being arrogant.
Yes.
Until I went to the 10X conference in Vegas. And I sat down, and the reason I went, I didn't go for him. I went because he had a great speaking lineup. All the speakers were like top notch. And Dennis and I were like, well, let's go check that out. How to 10X our business, how to grow our business, And I was surprised about 3 different people that were there. Grant was one of them. Ty Lopez was another one. I used to hate him. Like, I could not stand seeing an ad from him.
Yeah.
Literally, those were the main 2. The third one, I can't even remember who it was. But when Grant came on stage and he started talking on why he was doing the 10X and why he was putting on that conference, and I got to see a different person. It was the real Grant. It wasn't the Grant that he was actually pushing on social media. And I hear my respect. I was like, you know what? This is somebody I need to continue to listen to. This is somebody. Now, sometimes it can get a little old, so you might get a little tired of, and you just go shift to something else.
Sure.
And the other guy was Ty Lopez. Like, literally, when he came on stage, I walked off. Like, I went out the room. And then he stayed behind. And I was like, man, you know what? I can't stand this guy. I'm just going to go and like, I don't know, look at vendors or whatever. And I did. And then 30 minutes later, I was like, okay, I looked at all the vendors. I'm going to go back in. I go back, and Dennis was like, dude, you need to sit down right now. And I was like, what are you talking about? You hate on this guy, too. Because he didn't like him either. He's like, no, man, this guy's dropping massive knowledge right now. And what he was doing, he was actually talking about marketing and how to actually market websites. And what he was doing, he was actually asking the audience, like random people, let me show your website. Let me give you insights on how to make it better. And he will pull up the website, and he was like, okay, man, are you getting any business with this website? And they're like, yeah, my revenue is X. And he's like, dude, I'm surprised you're getting that X revenue. This is what I would change. And he will tell them straight up on the spot how to pop up a video, how to do this, how to do that. And he did this like with 10 to 20 people. He was on stage for at least 2 hours, just adding massive value to this audience, right? And we learned so much from it that we said, okay, now I know why this guy's running so many ads. And he's in. Now, you perceive it as them being arrogant, them being all up in your face, or they're trying to be selling some coaching program. But when you think about it, Grant Cardone only has like the Cardone University and a couple of other things. But believe it or not, it's not that I'm an advocate. I mean, I like what they have, but I don't dislike him either. everybody that I talk to that uses it, they love it. So it's how we perceive it, you know. So that's kind of funny you mentioned him because I had a complete different perception from him and Ty Lopez, and after that event, it completely changed. And they're the real deals, you know. The guy's got now over $1 billion worth of assets, you know, on his hands, and I guess he's going after apartments and those kind of things. But anyways, you were listening to those podcasts, the TTP.
Yeah.
What else you listen to?
I like yours a lot.
Now, do you get to listen to the ones in Spanish? So we do some in Spanish.
Yeah, I
right?
know, yeah.
And believe it or not, our Spanish videos are the ones that have the most views.
Yeah, I can see that.
When we started,
there's a competitive advantage.
Well,
there's not many.
When we started this, it was in Spanish. It was we were never meant to do it in English. What happened? We started doing Facebook Lives, and we recorded, but we also did it with a Facebook Live, and people started putting on the comments, "You better speak English. I can't understand. Can you guys do this content in English? And you know, you're only targeting the Spanish-speaking audience." But Dennis and I really wanted to tap into that audience because we believe it's underserved, and it is.
Absolutely.
There's not enough people talking real estate in Spanish. But because of demand, we started doing it in English, and that was the whole reason on why. Now we got more episodes in English than we do in Spanish, but that's a different story. We just can't find enough Spanish-speaking people to come to the show. Yeah. So you do TTP. What other podcasts? Personal development.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
Who do you listen?
I like John Maxwell.
Oh my God, that guy's the best.
Yeah, Jim Rohn.
Oh yeah,
Jim Rohn.
You're going old school.
Yeah, Napoleon Hill.
Yeah,
I listen to
Zig Ziglar.
Yeah, Zig Ziglar. Yeah, I like that style more than I couldn't even tell you some of the newer ones.
So
it's all the same thoughts.
Well, what I notice is from the new ones is that. So I listen to Andy Frisella, for instance.
Who?
Andy Frisella. I'll let you know who he is.
Okay.
So he had a podcast called the MF CEO Project. So figure what MF stands for.
Yeah. And
then CEO, right?
Okay.
And he's very vocal on how he approaches, you know, the podcast and all that. But his podcast has helped me a lot. But I'm going to say that he probably is a product of all the people you're mentioning. Because he had to listen from someone else. And those are the ones that came before the ones that are out there today. Mm-hmm. So Andy's one of them. I used to listen to Grant a lot, but now I just watch him on Facebook whenever he pops up. And then I just listened to the David Goggins.
I've read that book. That's a good
one. I put it on Audible, and so I kind of got the shorter version, but he's actually a pretty good motivator.
Oh yeah, I loved him.
Yeah, have you heard Eric Thomas?
Yeah,
the hip hop preacher.
Yeah.
So usually I tend to listen to him early in the morning. You know, when I wake up
before your jog.
Yeah, exactly. Or while you exercise, you know, you get your mindset right. So let's talk about that. Your mindset, right? So you're big into mindset.
Oh, huge.
How much do you think that mindset brainwashing has helped you get to where you are today?
Everything.
What does your routine look like for getting your mindset right?
Well, I've got a list of affirmations. It's about 8 or 9 pages.
Okay.
Something like that. I read it every single morning. Every morning. First thing I do when I get up.
What time do you get up?
7. 6:30, 7, something like that.
All right.
I have a 5-year-old and a 3-year-old.
Okay.
So I read. I'll listen to Audible. I'll read some form. So I'll do my affirmations and then I'll read.
Okay.
Yeah, and most of the day, one thing I really, I think I probably a little different is, when I was running all these crews all these years, I'd be on the highways, checking on jobs, checking on people. I didn't listen to the radio. I listened to books all day. I listened to tapes. For years, from when I was very young, that's all I did all day long. I think that's kind of influenced me a little different than most people. They're at work, they're this or that. I'm on the road in my car on a highway.
Yeah, and you were on Automobile University.
All the time, all day long.
Yeah, your college is different.
It was much different.
Yeah.
Now, I went back when I met my wife. The girlfriend, she wanted me. One of the requirements to date her was for me to get my degree, because I didn't have a degree.
Okay. Your wife?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
And how do you come around that?
What do you mean? I didn't. I went to school.
So okay.
She had her master's degree from UT.
Okay.
In accounting. I had nothing.
And you went to school for what?
I went to school for finance.
All right. So you graduated?
I graduated, yeah.
Okay. So you got a degree now?
I do now.
Yeah. In finance?
In finance, yeah.
Good
Just
for you.
because of her.
Well, that's good. Sometimes, women will make you do that kind of stuff.
She said she wanted an educated person, husband. Like in her mind, that's what she wanted, and I wasn't.
Yeah, so you had to go get that piece of paper in order to be educated enough to deserve, to be with her. Which, fair enough.
That's a weird thing, but in my mind, I'm like, you're helping me grow. You're pushing me.
Yeah.
And I was working with my dad at the time. I didn't know what that would lead to, but it was important to her, and she was important to me. Right. I knew that she was going to be a big part of whatever I do.
So that's kind of interesting, man. You actually joined. So when did you go to school? In between what years, timeline wise?
Yeah, 2011 to 15, something like that.
Okay.
Somewhere in there.
So you were in it in Austin?
I went to ACC, and then I went to U of H.
Okay. Austin Community College,
yes,
I'm going to assume.
Yeah.
That's the best way, man. You go cheap first and transfer your
I
credit.
paid all of it. I didn't get any help or anything. Just something.
Yeah. My dad offered the help, but I never took it.
Really?
Yeah. I never saw myself as college material. I always wanted to work. I always just wanted to be like him.
Yep.
In my case, I just chose to leave the company business when I was like 20. I dabbled for about a year doing all kinds of stuff. I was an entrepreneur back then, so I was like starting my own business, and I had a cell phone store and a couple of other things, and I exported cell phone, like I would buy cases and batteries and things like that, like to Venezuela. And so I had 2 stores over there. But when I was 21, I sent a shipment that got completely stolen, and that broke me. And I didn't have a lot of money, so the little bit of money I had, I lost. Plus, I had already leveraged some loans, and I had to pay those back now. So I had to literally liquidate all my stuff in Venezuela to pay for my debt. And then I was just like, what do I do now? I guess I got to go find me a job. And I already had a daughter, so that's how I ended up in the Navy. So that was my college, I guess, my education. And I enjoyed it. If I had to do it all over again, I'll do the same. I wouldn't change a single thing. It made me grow a lot of character. And then from there, I started in the oil and gas business. But, now it's all real estate. So you go in, let's get back on your real estate journey. So mindset is a big part of what you do today, is what allows you to grow and what allows you to take on more risk. So you're taking big risks, because we were talking off camera that you're doing 13, 14 flips right now. What does that look like? What does that business structure look like? How do you manage all these flips, at the same time?
I've got 3 main crews that I use.
Okay.
And they're on one property or the other. So I have, of all those properties, I have 1 for sale. Everything else is either under contract or about to be. So we're repairing, rehabbing it. Risk is huge in this, obviously.
Yeah.
My risk, the way I handle risk is I only stay within certain price ranges.
Yeah.
I want to be the mid to the smallest house in every neighborhood. I always have the best product. So at that price that I'm at, I've done it very nice. These other houses aren't going to look as good as mine.
Right.
So if you're comparing another one to mine, I'm going to win.
Right.
So I'm very careful. Eddie Gant kind of talked to me about pending versus active. I'm real sensitive to that. You ever look into that? You know,
No,
how many are active versus pending in a neighborhood?
Okay.
That's a huge element to all of this.
Right.
You know, days on market. That's the ability to get out of a house is just as important as getting in it.
Getting in it, yeah.
Yeah. So if you're at the upper range of these houses, I won't even touch them, or I'll wholesale them.
Yeah.
I'll put them under contract, but I won't flip any of those. I only flip. I want the 2-foot bar that I can just step over real easy. You know, the 7-8 foot, I don't go for those.
Right.
So I try to have cheaper houses, low days on market, good equity, and a lot of these deals I've got a lot lower labor costs than probably most other investors because of my volume.
Right.
So my cost of money is lower than most other people because of my volume and my relationships with private money.
Right.
So I can. My rehabs are less. I'm a realtor, so I save a little bit.
Right.
So I save a little bit all the way out throughout the line. And so at the end of the day, I'm making a little bit more than other people are because of my scalability.
Right. That's good. So you're a realtor, but now you only work your deals, or do you actually do listings for other people as well?
I have people that do the files for me. I don't necessarily manage every little
you have like a transactional coordinator.
Yeah. But yes, I do. A lot of students that I have, they don't have a realtor. I'll help them find a house and then I'll list it for them.
Okay.
Or they'll looking for a house. I do all that. Help people find a house.
So you got students now?
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, it's people in my area that come to me. I don't really charge them. I don't charge some fee or anything. I like doing business together.
Split deals.
Yeah, we split deals, exactly.
Yeah.
We'll split, most of these people I deal with, we do deal after deal after deal. That's how I've done it.
Okay, I've done the same.
Yeah.
So people come over and say, hey, I want to get deals for wholesale. And I was like, okay, let's go put the money in marketing and let's make it happen.
There you go.
But I'm getting now people from like Seattle, from other states. They're like, can you help me? And so I was like, okay, this is going to take time. This is different because now I have to teach them what to do because I can't just force them to come to the office and do stuff. But I'm not turning them down. I'm just taking a few that are committed. And I charge a fee to those, but it's not anything outrageous because at the end of the day, I'm going to help them market and we're going to go do deals together. So I believe in making more money by doing deals.
I do too.
Than just charging people for education.
I also don't like to charge a lot of money and then you feel obligated and you can't make someone.
If you're going to get on the education business, then if you feel the way you do, you can't be there.
I can't. I've gone back and forth. I've had people ask me. They're wondering how I've grown so fast.
We had a little. Somebody wants to be on the podcast here. So yeah, that's the thing, right? I feel the same way. Like I want to see people succeed. I don't want to see them fail. And a lot of these coaching programs, people fail because there's not that accountability. They take the money up front, they teach them, but then they don't necessarily hold them accountable to move forward.
Well, knowledge is never enough.
Yeah.
It's never enough. There's a good saying I like a lot. It says, a thing can't come about from merely reading instructions.
Yeah.
You sit here, you read, that's not going to make it happen.
Right.
You got to put it together. And that's what I think education, a lot of it is. Now, self-education, like I'm going out pursuing it, that's a whole different game.
Yeah. There's a saying actually that says, actually people think that knowledge is power, but it's really not. It's knowledge applied is power.
Yeah.
That's exactly what you just talked about,
exactly.
right?
Yep.
So, if you don't do what you learn, then and you put it into action, then you just learn a bunch, but
Yeah. Well, it stays in the mind.
it stays in the mind.
There's no benefit to just knowing a lot. I'm sure you met people that could teach you every little nuance to investing.
To investing, to Even not, it doesn't have to be real estate. It can be about anything. I've met doctors that are very knowledgeable about, and they can teach classes about every single thing there is about health. Yeah. But the reality is that they're not actually practicing. They're just teaching. So, you know, do I want to learn from somebody that's just teaching, or do I want to learn from somebody that's practicing it? I'd rather learn from the practitioner, because that's the one taking, you know.
Well, they're going to know the nuances and little intricacies of things just from being in the middle of deals.
Right. So what does your team look like today, other than, so you have 3 crews that you use for your rehabs. Yeah. Then you have a transactional coordinator that kind of helps you with the listings and all the paperwork and all that stuff. But out of that, what else do you have attached to your business to make you, you know?
So I have a quality control. Make sure the jobs are where they need to be at. My main job is to find money and to find deals.
Yes.
I mean, that's ultimately what I'm doing. Marketing. So they help me run my projects. I'm not saying I don't have anything to do with them.
Right.
I do stop in and make sure.
You stop by and check it out.
Exactly. You have to. But I do have the systems and processes you couldn't do it without. You couldn't do as much volume as I'm doing without that. But that's, if I'm not doing those things, then I'm not best utilizing my time. Because what happens is you get deals coming in and you don't have the money. You know, then you start getting more money, but you don't have the deals, so you get too much money. But then you figure out how to get more deals, feel more marketing, meet more people. So it's like there's always problems. You got to solve them.
Yeah. So 3 years ago, we were flipping. Actually, more than 3 years. It's like 5 years now. We're in 2020. I'm talking about 2014, 15. 5 to 6 years ago, we were doing 1 to 2 houses, the most. Actually, in 2015, I was flipping 3 houses while I had a job. And I did have 3 different crews, because I had a crew per property. So, but each crew was like 3 people. So, well, they kind of like did it all. They did drywall, flooring.
Yeah.
But my job was to go find deals and money in order to get the next 3. That way, when these 3 are done, then I have places to move these guys. Then I got laid off, and I said, okay, how can I make this to make a living? And the only thing I knew was to flip and maybe keep some rentals, but I didn't know how to wholesale. So literally, I went and found a lot more money, and I got good at getting houses on my own instead of relying just on wholesalers or the MLS. So I started doing mailers, and I started, I started throwing money in marketing, basically. But we were answering the phone ourselves, going to the appointments, locking them up, and then buying them. We went from doing comfortably 3 to about 10. But it was like a quantum leap, in the next couple of months. And then from 10, we literally doubled it. But the challenge I was having at the time now was and I still have money coming our way. Like, more money were finding us because we were putting properties out. And word was getting around, hey, these guys are flipping, they can do it. So we went from 10 guys on the crew to 20 to 30. And when Harvey hit, we have 47. We have 47 guys working in all these houses, not counting materials. We had a materials coordinator. All he did was buy materials and pretty much coordinate where materials needed to be. We had a warehouse, and we try to use Home Depot and all these other stores as warehouses for the most part. But sometimes we had to, whatever was the last flooring they had, or we had to buy it and put it somewhere.
Yep.
To save on the cost. And so we got a warehouse for that. And then I did have a guy running around quality. I called him more of a superintendent than quality control, because he sort of had more experience than everybody else. And we also bought our dumpster. So we had a dumpster, because I did the math one month on all these dumpsters that we had, and I was like, oh my God, I can literally buy a dumpster just from 1 month worth of dumpsters. Which we still have. What happened was all those processes got disrupted after Harvey, because I pretty much lost everybody. And once you lose people, then what processes do you have? Exactly, and you're just reacting. So that forced us to become wholesalers, because now we got all these liabilities, and we got houses that are ready, or some other ones that are not. Some of the houses flooded. but we needed to supplement income because that income stopped. And for about a year, I would say more than a year, we didn't touch those houses. We couldn't hire anybody. Everybody was working, doing demolitions or hanging a drywall, a piece of drywall for, I don't know, it was an unreal amount of
crazy.
money. Yeah, crazy what they were asking. So that's what forced us to become wholesalers. And today is the opposite. So 80% of our business now is wholesaling. We still got some flips, but we're kind of like phasing out, and we're gonna focus on that. But wholesaling is becoming tougher and tougher and tougher as well, because now you got a bunch of other competition.
Oh, yeah.
So that forced us to get out of Texas. So now we got houses under contract in other states. So we're doing a lot of virtual wholesaling, but we still like the development portion of it and building stuff, and we like the residual income. Wholesaling is a rat race.
Yeah.
If you stop it, it dies. That's it.
Yeah.
That's as far as you go. And now we're doing syndications for building boat and RV storages and that kind of stuff. So that's kind of been our evolution in the real estate world. I don't see myself as a landlord anymore. I don't even enjoy it. Where do you see yourself going forward now that you're doing all these deals?
Syndication.
Okay.
That's exactly what I'd like to do.
All right.
RV parks, storage units. That's exactly where I'd want to be.
Okay.
Finding the deals, kind of like I found these off-market deals. I'm real good at finding single family. I'd like to transition into finding commercials properties.
It's no different. I mean, there's wholesalers that are actually specializing in that now. I've seen wholesalers that all they did was single families. All they're doing now is commercial, buildings or multifamilies or maybe storage. What I like is the development portion of it, buying the land.
Oh, I got you.
And
you can get land reasonable.
Yeah.
Sometimes, yeah.
Yeah. So that's what we're doing. We're buying the land and we're bringing it up. But I'm not 100% out of the flipping yet.
But you want to be?
Yes, definitely. I'll be out of. And I might flip a house here and there. It's kind of like on my DNA. I've been doing it for so long now. It's eventually when we grew at a scale, it got boring because we had systems in place to where we use the same flooring, the same paint, the same.
So do I.
So all our houses look the same.
Yep.
So that wow effect, it wasn't there anymore, right? But that's what we had to do to keep the cost down.
Well, you get more satisfaction out of the money or out of the process of change?
I guess the satisfaction changes as you grow. Because at the beginning, it was, I can remember my first house, like the backsplash, what it looked like, how pretty the laminate flooring was, how we were able to fix that foundation, and so and it was a pier and beam home. So what they tell you is don't buy pier and beam. Well, guess what I did? I bought one, and it was all rotten, and the thing was fell on the side. So the first flip I ever did was more, I finished it, I got it. Finally, now I can do something with this thing. I can sell it or I can rent it. I couldn't sell it because of the time. It wasn't a good time. But it rented for a while. And then I moved into that, and then it was kind of like trying to prove myself over and over and over again that I can actually replicate the system and create a system. Finally, when we created a system, that's what gave us satisfaction, or gave me satisfaction. It's like, okay, now I got a system that works. I don't have to figure out what kind of flooring I need. I don't need to figure out what kind of backsplash. I don't need to figure out who's going to do the paint or what the color of the paint is going to be. So that was what gave me satisfaction. It wasn't so much the money. It was like, okay, now I have something systemized. I can repeat, because what happens when you create systems is you can scale it.
Oh, yeah.
And then the next challenge was, can we scale this? And then I was forced to scale it. And actually, I've been forced to scale everything I do out of need, out of necessity. Every time I grew, or we grew as a team here, it wasn't because, it's nice to go wholesale 20 houses a month, or it's nice to go flip 30. I think at the most I had was 37 projects when we were flipping. $9 million worth of loans at the same time. That's what we got caught up with Harvey. So we had 17 that we were rehabbing that were 2 to 3 months away from going on the market. We have a bunch of rentals properties that we had at the time. I've been liquidating them as we go. And then we had 20 houses under contract with private money available. Harvey hits, I got the 17. Maybe a couple of weeks later, I still have the cruise. And then I go closing all these deals that we're supposed to close. And it wasn't a problem because I was looking for all the work for all these 50 people that I had here. They were going to transition from these houses to the next block. So we were starting to flip in blocks. 20, 17, 20 more. And what happens is in that moment, it's kind of like a perfect storm. The storm hits. 2 weeks later, I still got the cruise. I go closing all these deals. Now I got 37, and then they all leave. And now I got 37 loans on my neck, hanging around, and I cannot replace these people. So that's why I know it's very dangerous when you go at a scale on the flipping side.
That's way more than I might be doing 4 at a time.
No. I was rehabbing 17.
That's what I'm saying. That many, I mean, that'd be.
Oh my God, that killed me, man. I mean, we really got slaughtered in the last 2 or 3 years, literally. I mean, but we had to solve the problem, right? So, how do you replenish? I have not been foreclosed on a single one of them. So how do you replenish the money to continue that monster? I didn't have a mentor that I could reach out and say, hey man, how do you deal with this? Because it's the first time I had that many properties on my hands, right? And at the time I didn't network, so I didn't know a lot of people. I knew some names, but there was no. You see, we built our business up to that point to where we didn't have to network because we weren't selling to anybody.
Yeah,
we were buying, rehabbing. Our job was to find money, to find properties, and hire more people to work on our projects to continue to grow. And it was all beautiful until that happened, right? It was about a year that we kept all these houses in activity. After a year, we started finishing them because we started getting some new people coming over. We still had a little bit of money, and we started selling, But then we found out that everything we bought in Houston stayed on the market for another year, because now you got all these properties coming on the market, right? So you're competing against all these houses that just got rehabbed, and I mean it was horrible, but we had to change the strategy, and we were like, okay, what can we do to solve this challenge, which is we have a 6-figure a month payment that we got to do every month. So our mortgage was $100 and some thousand a month, and we've already run out of a lot of our money because every month we're, paying interest, and for the sakes of it, a lot of these investors were freaking out, like, hey, are you guys gonna be okay? Oh, we're fine. We have money in the bank. But eventually, we started looking at the bank account. I was like, man, I don't think we're gonna last. What are we gonna do? And that's when we became wholesalers. Now that I understand wholesaling, I was like, I want nothing to do with the liabilities because, we grew a huge, successful business that it was at some point, but that got disrupted because of Mother Nature. That was it.
Sure.
If I would have been in San Antonio, I'd probably be doing the same thing right now. And I wouldn't have this podcast and I wouldn't be talking to anybody because we didn't have to be out there. So we have to learn how to network, number one. Mm-hmm. Where are these networking events happening at, right? Because that's where the buyers were. Okay, now that we know how to get houses, how do we get more so we can wholesale and kind of like Peter pays Paul, And so that's what forced us into become wholesalers. Something that I said, ooh, no, you're a wholesaler. Now I'm like, ooh, I need to become a wholesaler because the speed of money is quicker.
From a business perspective, I mean, it makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
I mean, I love wholesaling. I do it all the time. I mean, there's no risk.
The risk is the marketing, right?
Well, sure, right.
The marketing, you put money in marketing, it doesn't pay out. You're like, I put, X amount of dollars and I didn't get anything out of it. But if you keep getting consistent with it, it's going to pay off. Especially you mentioned you were doing mailers.
Yep.
what I love about mailers is you send a mailer today, it might not give you a call in the next 30 days, but eventually they're planted. They're like, it's like farming. You're farming, and eventually one of those people are gonna grab a letter and say, this is a letter I got from James 2 years ago. I wasn't ready then. I saved it for a rainy day, and I want to sell now. And then they call you, and
I've had that many times. 8-9 months later, absolutely.
So you want to syndicate now for boat and RV storages, and storages and multifamily, that
and warehouses, that kind of thing. Where I'm bringing the deals together. I'm bringing the crews. That's my expertise. I'm just getting the money and bringing it together, and I'm taking a part of the deal. Maybe I'm taking 20% of the deal for putting it all together, and just buying. It's scalable, right? I mean, if they're bringing the money, I want to do everything that's scalable.
Yeah,
I'm kind of with you on that. I want to. Any model I choose, that's how I want to do it.
Yeah, that's exactly what we're doing. And if we can scale it, we're going for it. If not, we don't want to touch it. Because it dies. You're gonna hit a ceiling, right? But good. We're on the same page. We're actually actively syndicating right now. We have the first one closing hopefully this month, and then we're opening up a second one. Actually in Baytown.
Really?
Yeah.
We're at in Baytown.
It's on Tri-City Beach Road. So
I lived out there, right off Tri-City.
Okay, so we picked up 14 acres.
Sweet.
And we're gonna build out there. So we're building from the ground up. So Dennis is a civil engineer, so that's where that building experience comes from.
Awesome.
And I know where to find the money. So I wish I knew today what I knew back in 2015 when I went and raised all the money for flipping, because most of our money was actually private money.
Yeah.
I would have actually done a lot better if I went for the syndications, because it's a different animal.
So just put that money into syndications. So you're getting debt financing? Is that, or are you getting
we're doing it all cash.
All cash?
We're going for all cash.
Very nice.
Yeah, we're going for loans after the property's built and stabilized, but not before. I don't want to have any debt. Literally, I'm learning from my own mistakes. So I used to leverage whatever I could to get more properties, to get more deals, and to continue that funnel and that pipeline running. But eventually, because of one thing Mother Nature decided to do, that sort of came to a crumble, and it really put a huge dent in our finances, business-wise. And I don't hide this from anybody. I'd rather tell the people the truth, because what good is it to go make a bunch of mistakes, or it wasn't even a mistake because I didn't know any better, right? So it was just something that happened.
Nature,
It's an act of nature. I can't compete. I can't prevent that. I guess the technology is not there yet to do that. But now I understand what I don't want to do. In case something like that happens again, I'm not on the hook for interest-only payments and having liabilities here and there. So I'm playing it safer when it comes to that.
Sure.
Now, when it comes to wholesaling, no, it's different. Wholesaling is more put money in marketing, take the risk, and it starts coming back, and you just got to be good on capitalizing. So
acquisitions.
Yeah, it's not. We were just talking about this today. It's not even about just I got a house under contract. Okay, now that you got it under contract, can you sell it? So and do you actually get a good enough deal for the next guy to buy it and make money off of it? So that's what we've been focusing on, getting much better and better on these positions, in order to continue that pipeline moving. So.
Yeah.
Anyways, man, thank you so much for coming in, James.
I enjoyed it.
I appreciate you, man. Guys, if you where can people get in contact? Do you have a website? Do you have a networking group, right?
Yeah, I'd say Facebook's probably the best way.
Facebook,
yeah.
James Toler. What's your networking group called?
It's not really a name. I just put it together.
But you call it like the NASA is around the Clear Lake
Bay Area.
The Bay Area, right?
Yeah.
So, are you guys still meeting?
Yeah, we're every 3 months or so.
Okay.
Every Tuesday I have a Bible study at my office,
Yes.
and Thursday I have an investment class.
I've seen your videos on that. I know Adam goes there all the time, and a couple other guys that I know that I've seen him on the video. So I like that. So
Just trying to add value any way possible. That's all.
absolutely. So you can't do wrong when you add value. You can't go wrong.
And it's from a genuine good place.
Yes.
That's the key.
Absolutely.
And good things happen to you over time.
Yeah.
That's with my experience.
That's why I share all my struggles, right? So when I was going through this Harvey thing, right, man, I was just questioning a lot of things. It's just like, why is this happening to me? Like I had a successful business, and now from successful becomes like a horror story, Mm. And I started a podcast. It's called The Truth Behind Success. So where I actually go there, and by the way, this is not a promo or anything like that, but go check it out. So literally, I started telling people what it really takes to be successful, and part of it is failure. If you don't fail and you don't go through the struggles and you don't start questioning how you do things, how do you expect to get better or to achieve success at whatever level? It doesn't have to be success money wise. Mm-hmm. It can be success just from a family perspective. Having a good relationship with your wife and kids, or having a good relationship with your neighbors, with your friends, or just being healthy. How many people are out there that got money but they don't have health, right? So that's sort of what I talk about there. It's more mindset. It's more, hey, I went through this, and guess what? This is what I learned, because everything is a learning experience.
Yeah.
I learned what I don't want to do now, and I learned what not to do. That way I don't replicate it going forward. So that's what the truth behind success is all about. Actually, I'm gonna have like 40 to 50 episomes coming out pretty soon.
Good.
Yeah, we have 30 something right now on the air, but we have a lot more. I got something that I'm about to start dropping here in the next couple of weeks.
I look forward to it.
Yeah, but anyways, man, thank you so much. I appreciate you. Thank you for stopping by. Mm-hmm. Make sure you connect with James on Facebook, and if you're in the Houston area or the Bay Area, he's the guy to go to. Yep. If you got a house down there, feel free to send it to him. He's a buyer too. Yep. And with that being said, don't forget to share, like, and subscribe our Renovating Riches radio channel. We are in Spanish and English. And if you have any questions, send us a message. If there's somebody you want me to interview, let me know. If there is a topic that you want us to touch about, let me know. I'm pretty sure we're going to revisit with James in a few months from now to see what his business looked like. And you all have a great day. Bye.
Thank you.